I'm sharing this with you because I want to help others, to help maybe young couples that are being kind of pressured in to get married, or rushing into things when they don't actually know about each other. And there's lots of things, and I just want people to do what's right for them rather than try to please other people. So my problem was that because I'd prayed about the Book of Mormon and I felt really good about it, and I prayed about Joseph Smith and felt really good about Joseph Smith, and I felt great being baptised, and I felt great praying, and great when I took the sacrament, and great when I was sharing the gospel, and great when I read scripture. I was on fire. There's wholesomeness at the church, wholesomeness in these Latter-day Saints. Everyone trying their best to be their best, but sometimes perhaps that also leads to other problems where people aren't being honest with each other. They're pretending everything's fine when it's not fine. They're overwhelmed and they're trying to be superhuman. When I got married, I once again hadn't obviously told anyone what had happened. I didn't want to get married. Inside, my spirit was screaming no, and obviously not a good idea for the person I married either. So we both should never have got married. But the blessing, obviously, my children, who I love dearly, and who brought joy into my life. Every one of them that came into the world brought joy and lifted my spirits about the child that I'd aborted, and I was like 4 months pregnant, and I didn't even know, because I didn't know obviously what that felt like. And I don't want anyone to suffer, but it's taken me a long time to pluck up the courage to talk about these things publicly, because it was hidden. So I was married for 20 odd years. The only person I told about that abortion was the bishop at the time. I didn't tell anyone, didn't tell family, friends, nobody knew anything. So that happened in like 1989, and I didn't tell anyone for a very long time. I think I confided in a new best friend in about 2004, I think, and she was a counsellor, and that was the first time I was able to let that off my chest, that burden. So what was I going to say to you? So I was going to tell you the highs and lows of being a Latter-day Saint. And obviously the high is that the church has a tithing system, and that tithing helps the membership that are unable to take care of themselves. So whenever we had monetary problems, like food problems, we couldn't afford it, or we couldn't afford our rent, the bishop would help. The bishop would write a cheque, or the Relief Society president would go shopping for us, and we'd have food, and we'd have help with our rent. And also there were social activities. There was lots of fun activities, and when I was a youngster there was camps to go on as well. They were the only holidays I had. I didn't have holidays with my family, and it was my escapism from my home life with my family, my mum, and etc, which was enough. But anyway, what I was going to say is that oh gosh, I don't know what theme to go on next. Just before I was baptised, so I believe the church was you know, it, that um, instead of going by my guts, I let the bishop speak for me as representing God, you know. And but the week, I think no, the day before, me and my neighbour were going to get baptised. My neighbour ran round to me and she says, "Oh, there's been a programme on TV and about Mormons and polygamy," and so we was baffled because we didn't know anything about this, and I was 15, I didn't even know about Mormons in the first place or Latter-day Saints, and anyway, we phoned up the missionaries, and the missionaries said, "Oh, it wasn't the church that we was going to," and then they said that polygamy had been in the church, a long time ago, and they made it seem like it was irrelevant. And it wasn't irrelevant, though. It was pretty much important to know these details. But we got baptized thinking it was a completely separate issue. And then anyway, obviously I got married and lived a perfect life, tried to live perfectly, tried to be absolutely the best I could. I did every calling I was asked to do. I was doing 3 callings at a time, raised my children, was sharing the gospel non-stop, having people around for dinner non-stop, doing the dinner parties, having the missionaries round, taking care of the missionaries, sharing the gospel with all my friends, trying to bring lots of people into the church. And I was, but there is also something called a patriarchal blessing and also a temple sealing. And so we aimed for those things. I received my patriarchal blessing, and also my husband received his patriarchal blessing, and we'd been married, I don't know, 2 years, I think, or 3 years when that happened, and his patriarchal blessing was pretty impressive. So on the basis of what he was told in his patriarchal blessing, I kind of stayed with him on that premise of that blessing. And we went through the temple and we were sealed, and I had 2 children by that time, so they were sealed to us as well. I've got a picture of us standing on the steps of the temple in our white clothing, and we wore temple garments after that. And but it it was not obviously a great life, because the person I married was a convert, and he had come from a background of not really respecting women and being a womanizer, and obviously he had his good points. Everyone has their good points. Not absolutely awful, but obviously awful the way that I was taken advantage of, and also that it was against my will, and it just broke my heart because I didn't love him, and that's awful, isn't it, to be with someone that. Anyway, try to make the best of things, try to shine, try to be a star. But I had obviously other issues going on with my home life and with other things, my mum and stuff, and other difficulties going on. I ended up in severe depression and had to try to hide that as well. And I'd be given lots of blessings, and I'd pray a lot, and carried out lots of callings, and we just got on with life, trying to live a good life. And I did lots of temple work, did lots of family history, I was at the temple non-stop. It was my second home. I just wanted to be forgiven of my sins,